When the HOA president slapped a $500 road use fee on me for parking on the ridge my grandfather cleared with his own 2 hands, I figured it was just another power-tripping Karen moment. What I didn't know was that one parking ticket was about to hand her the shovel she'd used to bury herself and her entire fake kingdom under the very rules she loved quoting like scripture. The drive up the old switchback felt like stepping back in time until the last curve, when the view hit me like a slap. Rows of gleaming McMansions with 3-car garages and perfectly edged lawns now sat where pine stumps and deer trails used to be. A big wrought iron sign welcomed me to Sierra View Estates, where community comes first. Underneath, in smaller letters, private property, HOA enforced. My boots hit the gravel turnout, and the mountain air smelled exactly like I remembered, except now it carried the faint scent of fresh asphalt and entitlement. Before I could even stretch my legs, a white Range Rover glided up like it owned the oxygen. The window dropped and there she was, Pamela Whitaker, Sierra View president, blonde helmet hair sprayed into submission, pearls gleaming like tiny trophies. She looked me up and down the way people inspect something stuck to their shoe. "Sir, this is managed community property. Non-residents need prior approval and a $200 daily access pass." I smiled, slow and easy. "Ma'am, I'm Tyler Brooks. I own this ridge. Grandfather's cabin is right up that dirt track." Her laugh was sharp enough to cut glass. "Oh honey, that's adorable. County records show full incorporation into Sierra View 15 years ago. You're standing on common area easement. Move the truck in 5 minutes or I call towing and add the fine to your growing tab." I didn't move. She didn't like that. By the time her taillights disappeared between 2 identical Tuscan villas, I already had 3 violation stickers fluttering on my windshield like surrender flags. That night the sheriff showed up, old family friend who looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. "Tyler, they filed complaints. Trespassing, unauthorized dwelling, blocking emergency access. Pam's husband Richard handles county filings. You know how that goes." He handed me the stack of pink slips. "Find your grandfather's papers, son. Fast." I spent the next 2 days turning the old cabin upside down. Under a loose floorboard in the attic, I found the metal box. Inside, a yellowed 1962 land use lease. Not a sale. A lease. Grandfather had allowed the original developer temporary building rights in exchange for annual payments. Last check? 12 years ago. And tucked in the back, the clause that made my blood run hot. If payments lapse beyond 90 days, all improvements, including structures, roads, utilities, and landscaping, revert in full ownership to the lessor without compensation. I sat on the dusty floor laughing so hard I almost cried. They'd built 400 houses, 2 clubhouses, 3 pools, and 17 miles of private roads on land they stopped paying for over a decade ago. And every single day they'd been charging residents dues to maintain property that legally wasn't theirs. Pam didn't wait long to escalate. Next morning 3 golf carts rolled up like a tiny invasion force. Violation notices rained down. Improper mailbox height, unapproved flag, my grandfather's old American flag on the porch. Grass too long, it was native wild rye. And my personal favorite, visual pollution caused by vintage truck. $1,800 in new fines before lunch. I called Marcus Hale, the only land attorney in town who still answered unknown numbers. He drove up that afternoon, took one look at the lease, and whistled low. "This is nuclear, but we need the county originals to prove forgery." We hit the archives the next day. Archivist Darla took one look at my last name and whispered, "Your granddad warned me this day might come." She pulled the microfilm. Someone, Richard Whitaker, had digitally altered the lease expiration date and backdated signatures. The boundary map had been redrawn to swallow the entire ridge. Classic. That same afternoon I found fresh construction debris dumped behind my cabin, rebar, drywall, paint cans, right next to a fresh environmental hazard fine from Pam herself. I set up trail cams. Caught the treasurer, Susan, supervising the dump at 2 a.m. She cracked the next morning when I showed her the footage. "I never wanted any of this," she whispered, sliding a flash drive across my kitchen table. "Pam and Richard have been skimming dues for years. Private jets, vacation homes, all while telling residents we're barely breaking even. The board knows. They're terrified of her." The night before the emergency HOA meeting, Pam called a security threat briefing. Susan texted me, "She's planning to have you removed by force. Be ready." The community barn was standing room only. Residents packed in like they smelled blood in the water. Pam stood at the front in a power-red blazer, microphone in one hand, gavel in the other, looking every inch the queen who'd never lost a battle. Tonight we address the dangerous outsider attempting to destabilize our beautiful community. I stepped up beside Marcus with the projector remote. Actually, Pam, let's address the dangerous insiders first. Slide 1. The original 1962 lease. Slide 2. Proof of zero payments since 2012. Slide 3. Richard's forged digital alterations, timestamps and all. Slide 4. The reversion clause in 72-point font. The barn went dead silent. Then the murmurs started. Pam's face drained of color. Those documents are fabrications. He's trying to steal your homes. Marcus clicked the next slide. Bank transfers straight from HOA accounts to the Whitakers' private LLCs. Over $600,000. Susan stood up in the third row, voice shaking but clear. I signed the fake renewals because she threatened my job. It's all on the drive I gave Tyler. Every dime. Pandemonium. Residents surged forward waving their own fat fee statements. Pam tried to scream over them, but the sheriff was already moving. Handcuffs clicked around her wrists right as she was mid-rant about protecting property values. Richard didn't even fight. He just stared at the floor like a man watching his empire evaporate in real time. As they were let out, Pam locked eyes with me one last time. You'll never get away with this. I leaned in so only she could hear. Funny. That's exactly what the rules say about you. 3 months later, Sierra View Estates became Brooks Ridge Community. Same houses, same views, zero HOA dictators. Residents bought their lots at fair market value with payment plans cheaper than Pam's old monthly extortion fees. No more fines for flagpoles, no more inspections for holiday lights, no more community standards that somehow only applied when Pam felt like it. I kept the cabin and 10 acres. The rest of the ridge finally belonged to the people who actually lived on it. So tell me, true or false, Pamela Whitaker was just doing her job enforcing rules, or did the real power abuser finally get exactly the karma she spent 15 years serving up to everyone else? Drop your verdict below. The ridge is still listening.